Hey guys, this is James Sir X10, also known as Zen Cursed, and I'm here to give you a guide on Heroic Shannox, the first boss fight in the Firelands instance on Heroic. For this fight, we use a composition of 2 tanks, 3 healers, and 5 DPS. The primary mechanic of this fight on normal is taking the dogs down and the boss down in a balanced fashion, so the dogs die shortly before the boss does, but not too quickly. That mechanic has now been removed in favor of a straight burn fight where you take down the boss and do not take down the dogs whatsoever. Killing a dog will cause it to smolder for a few seconds before coming back to life with full health. All in all, most of the mechanics remain the same. You will still want to get Rage Face into traps every so often to make sure he doesn't take down your DPS, as well as Riplim to assure stacks drop off both the tank and the off-tank tanking Riplim. The biggest difference in this fight is the buffs that are now stacking on Rage Face and Riplim, known as Feeding Frenzy. Every time they attack, they will gain a stacking damage buff that stacks indefinitely. This buff, if not wiped, will cause massive damage, obviously killing the raid over time. The way that you cause this to drop is assure that the enemies cannot, both Rageface and Riplim, cannot attack a opponent for 20 seconds. This is achieved, as you might guess, by making sure that both the dogs end up in a crystal trap once in a while. In our strategy, we attempt to trap Rageface with almost every trap that we get, and assure to leave at least one trap open for the Riplim tank once every 3 spear hurls. This video assumes you know the fight on normal, so I won't go over what spear hurl is. If you do not cause the stacks to drop on Riplim, your tank very well may become overwhelmed, because not only is the Feeding Frenzy buff still stacking, but also the Rending Tears will continue stacking on both your Shannox tank and your Riplim tank, as they did in the normal fight. As you'll see in this fight, we handle the trapping Rage Face by all standing near, at least relatively close, to either the blue square marker or the green triangle off in the distance. This allows us to trap them in one of the locations, and then we move to the other location to assure that when Rage Face comes out of the trap, he will need to spend enough time in transit to reach a point where he drops his stacks. For Riplim, we do something similar. Right before Shannox tosses his spear, our tank will cause him to get trapped, and thus allow both the Shannox tank and the Riplim tank to drop the Rending Tear stacks, as well as the Feeding Frenzy stack. Rageface still has no aggro table, as you can see. For breaking the face rages, we use Arcane Mages or a Hunter, depending on as the situation calls in our positioning. As per the 10-man fight, you must crit a certain amount in order to cause the face rage to break. Upon breaking face rage, he will still gain the rage debuff, during which time is an excellent time to get him trapped in a trap. We typically have our mages blink near a trap, causing Rageface to obviously get stunned. One of the biggest problems we had in this fight is the wary debuff that the dogs get when walking over a trap. This caused to be problematic because, as in the normal fight, the boss will still be dropping immolation traps on the ground, which the dogs can also walk over, causing them to take damage and gain the weary buff. As you can see at this point, we aren't doing a very good job managing Rage Face's stacks. In fact, I nearly die here. But we make it through. About, I want to say, 20 stacks or so is when Rage Face is going to start one-shotting people. As you saw earlier, we lost our off-tank and one of our healers, although we were able to manage with 2 healers. That is something to note. We are a relatively upper-geared group, and therefore able to slide past some of the mechanics. That about sums it up. You want to make sure that the dogs don't run into the immolation traps. because if they do, they will get wary and be unable to walk into a crystal trap, which can be very problematic when attempting to drop stacks. Other than that, there is no 30% to 0 burn phase in this fight where he'll do Magma Rupture unless your tank on Ripplim's DPS is so high it actually causes Ripplim to die at some point in the fight. Probably the easiest way for you to manage the immolation traps is make sure a melee or healer walks on them once in a while. Anyway, hopefully you enjoyed this short little guide. This is our team comp for the boss. And please subscribe, and hopefully I'll see you at the next boss. Thanks. Bye.